I am here today with Dean Seddon from Maverrik, and I'm very excited to speak with him because basically he has one big focus, and this is to help his clients how to convince more customers to buy. So he is a great guest for the Pathmonk Presents podcast show. He's worked with amazing companies from startups to multinationals, and on top of that is actually also coming in with an academic edge as a lecturer at the several universities in the UK and. Like I mentioned, with Maverrik, they're helping teams to, win more business, helping people, helping other people to be convinced to buy from their clients. So really looking forward to learn from Dean's experience. So welcome to the show.
Thanks, Lucas. You're brave having me on.
I got that. I got that. So maybe in your own words, maybe tell me what Maverrik is all about in your own words.
So I'm gonna steal a quote that somebody shared with me, and there's three ways to do things. There's the right way, there's the wrong way, and there's the other way. And I've always been in the other way camp of I've never had enough budget, I've never had enough resource, I've never had enough time, I've never had enough know-how, and I've had to find the other way to achieve a goal. And most of my clients that I work with over the years have been companies that are going, we know that this is the way, but we don't have the time, the resource, so what's the other way? And so Maverrik is, how can we help people find the other way? How can we help them find a path that isn't the wrong path, but may not be the perfect path? And I think that's the problem we have now, is everybody's looking for things to be perfect, and so things don't get done. Mm-hmm. And so Maverick's all about finding the other way to grow a business, to scale quickly, even when there isn't a huge amount of money floating around and you've not got 100 million in the bank from a VC.
Mm-hmm. So for everybody that is listening, so that they can get a good understanding of Maverrik, right? Maybe you could tell us something about the company, maybe how many clients you're working with, or how many visitors on the page, or some, maybe prices you want, something that characterizes Maverrik a bit.
Okay, so we have, we cater for all different sizes of businesses, from a solopreneur who come on maybe one of our public programs or something that we're doing kind of mass audience. And we've got about 150,000 people who've been through them. Then we have people who've paid to come to one of our events. So we run a lot of events, training events, workshops, and we've had about 10 to 15,000 people on them. Then we have classic private client work where we're more involved with them privately. So that would be like a consultancy arrangement. Mm-hmm. And then we have some corporate programs where we'll go into businesses and consult and train teams, sales teams, marketing teams. So literally we could have a client at one end who's a solopreneur who spends maybe £45 mm-hmm. to the other end, a stock market listed company that's spending £150,000 plus. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we're covering the full spectrum there.
Very good. And is that, certain verticals that people are, because, obviously you mentioned already that it is a full spectrum, but is there certain industries, or is that across the gamut that you're working with?
It's actually, again, it's across all different industries. Obviously, it's all B2B. Mm-hmm. We're not in the B2B market at all, but it's all B2B. And what we've discovered, which is a really unpopular opinion, is that whatever sector you're in, whilst the expression of the problems and challenges your business may face, the root of those problems are the same across all the different industries. Like, how do I get more people to believe that we can solve their problem? How do I get more people to buy? Why do people ask for proposals and then ghost me? Why aren't we getting enough leads through? They're all the same problems, albeit the solution might be a bit different for different sectors.
Makes a lot of sense. What would you describe a typical journey, right, for somebody getting interested and getting started? Maybe if we talk, from the B2B angle, as you mentioned, yeah. What would be the journey they would go through, and what would be top client acquisition channels for you guys?
So first things first, we practice what we teach. So we always believe in a very simple strategy of see, taste, and buy. Very, very simple. Any business can follow it. In other words, we have to be showing up consistently in the spaces that our customers are. whether that's ads or organic content or social media. We have to be consistent and showing up regularly. Then the whole taste experience is, can people get a flavor of who we are, the difference we can make to their business, and kind of do some of that trust and relationship building piece before we ever talk about our product or service. Yep. So we'll do a lot of lead magnets, free downloads, free training sessions that people can join before we ever try and sell people. That means then they know who we are, they got a flavor of us, our quirks, our eccentricities, all that kind of stuff, so that when they make an inquiry, a bit like you were saying earlier with Pathmonk, we know they're qualified in that they know who we are, they know what we're about, we're a bit unconventional in the way we do things, and so they're making an inquiry despite our quirks.
Very good. So what would you say in the journey that you're describing there, the getting to know you guys, tasting, and then actually, continuing the journey onward, what role does the website play for client acquisition in your perspective?
So an interesting one. What we found is in our scenario, we've broken our social media up so they cater to different audiences. Mm-hmm. So our website for us has been brilliant in attracting our larger clients. And so, a lot of our effort has been focused on, high value, I don't mean this the way it sounds, but the higher margin clients, the bigger project clients, mm-hmm. whereas our social media has been driven towards smaller businesses. And that's the kind of balance we've took. So our website's really, really important for us in attracting those bigger businesses who maybe want longer term engagements, who want something more in depth. And of course, then that's really important to us because, the bigger clients obviously make up a larger representation of our turnover.
And what would you think, if we're speaking about the website, there is the major strength of the page? Is it, the ability to convert those larger individuals from those larger companies, or is it the quality of the leads that you're getting, or the experience that you can provide? Like, where do you see a strength of the website?
I think the big strength of our site is last year we pursued traffic. Mm-hmm. And we pursued traffic probably at any cost because we were going for small business owners and solopreneurs and freelancers. And what we found is that whilst we were getting more traffic, it was you couldn't see what you were doing. There was no, there was patterns, but not the patterns we wanted. Mm-hmm. And so this year we've actually focused the website on the bigger clients. And so traffic's not as much as it was the year before, but actually the conversion to visits is a lot higher. Mm-hmm. And the number of inquiries we get through the website is a lot higher. Mm-hmm. By just being really smart and going, we don't want everybody on the site. We want the right people on the site.
Yep. That makes completely sense. On the flip side, where do you see still room for improvement, right? You mentioned you touched on conversion rates, potentially lead quality. Like, where do you see the biggest room for improvement?
I think the job of a website is never done. It's always being improved. I think for us, the key thing we want to map is probably more on the side of how can we develop our e-commerce conversions? So not necessarily from cold traffic, but from revisiting, from repeat visitors. How can we develop our e-commerce off our own site with existing users or existing visitors? That's the big thing for us now.
Mm-hmm. Very good. And what have you guys done already in that area in order to increase that conversions on the page?
We actually brought somebody on full time to basically work on that. So we launched our e-commerce in July. So before that, it was all done through another platform. We brought it on to our own website, and also we're in a partnership with Eventbrite because obviously we do a lot of events. So we partnered with them to actually house that aspect of our e-commerce in our own site. Mm-hmm. So
very good.
So a lot of our e-commerce transactions happened off site pre-July. They now predominantly happen on site.
Okay. Okay. So the focus seems to be on the e-commerce side. Is that also conversion for the large client side? Also, you're looking
And
into that?
most of the large clients, the conversion event is an inquiry form, scheduling a call, because the type of things we're selling to them, they're not going to click and buy kind of thing.
Gotcha. Makes a lot of sense. So I want to come back to your services, right, that you provide. For everybody who's listening in, what would you say is the main competitive advantage of Maverrik?
I think in a lot of scenarios, and I don't want to throw rocks at people, but a lot of consulting firms and business growth firms, they're either very you might get upset with me now because what I'm going to say, they're either very techy, yeah, or they're very theoretical. And what we've tried to focus on is how can we get a result? How can we get the client a result? So we're not we're technology agnostic, we're channel agnostic. It's literally about what will get the best result. And it's not just we've seen lots of different technology. It's about what will get the best result for that client within the parameters that they're working with. Yeah, so in other words, if they have no budget, what can they do? And that's what we'll try and do. So I think the competitive advantage is we're not trying to bring ClickFunnels to the table, or this to the table, or that to the table. It's like, how can we get you to the result? And what's the quickest, most cost-effective way to get there? So that's kind of, I think, our competitive advantage. We're not trying to shift something. So if we see, that PathMonk is the thing to do, we say, you need to do this. And then in the next one, if we say, oh, actually it's, a HubSpot CRM that you need putting in, that's what it is. We're not kind of reselling something.
Very good. If we would be looking behind the curtain of Maverrik, right? What would you say? How is the sales and marketing team structured at the moment?
Because of the way we structure it, actually all of our sales is inbound. Yeah, so everything comes inbound. Most of our business development is actually done on social media, so LinkedIn. So that is where all our outbound effort goes. There's a little bit of prospecting, cold email outreach, but predominantly what we're doing is trying to get people to come to us and to generate people to come and find out about us. So a lot of what we're doing is getting our name known with particular problems. So if a business is facing a particular problem, letting them know we solve that problem, or we'll help them solve that problem. And we see that as the long-term way to make this work, rather than hunting down leads every single month to hit sales targets. We need to make sure that the customers we want in 5 years' time, they're being seeded the Maverrik message now, so that we're feeding ourselves for years by our activity today. And that's what we're trying to do, which sometimes is frustrating because you don't always see the fruits of that. But then in 3-4 months' time, and I'll give you one example, a company reached out to us this past week, and they employ 80,000 people across the world, over 3,000 people in their sales department, and one of their big cheeses up at the top fed down to somebody in charge of salespeople that Maverrik were the people to check out.
Very good.
You can't buy that with lead generation.
You can't. Very good. Okay. I would like to switch gears a little bit and learn about you personally. Maybe if you could tell me, like, what type of content do you consume? How do you educate yourself?
I am always looking at stuff. Yeah, and there's I don't know if you've seen the film World War Z.
Haven't, to be honest.
Right. So there's a scene in this where all the zombies are taking over the world. So I know I'm taking you on a bit of a detour here, but I will make a point, I promise. There's a film where in the film zombies are taking over the whole world, and there's one country that has managed to fend off all of the zombies, and there's hardly any zombies there. And there's this bit in this film, if I get this right, whereby there's a council of people, and as long as one person has to disagree on that whole council with any decision they make, there's always got to be one person that has to disagree to give another opinion.
Mhm.
So I'm constantly, even when I've got a good idea, I look for alternatives of why that's a bad idea.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so I'm always looking for the reasons why my ideas are bad. And I'm also looking at anybody else that's doing anything to go, we don't know everything. Yeah, we will never know anything. There's bits that we gloss over that somebody goes into detail on that just unlocks things. So I'm always looking at competitors. I'm looking at people in different industries, absorbing information. But I'm a kind of bite-sized consumer. So I have a ton of books here, and I buy the book and I flick through and read a bit, and then I flick through another one. So I've got hundreds of unfinished read books, part read books, and I'll flick back to them and flick back to them. So it's almost like a reference library, and that's how I would like to learn. So I consume in bite-sized elements.
Mm-hmm. Very good. What I would like to do now is jump into our rapid fire questions, since we're slowly coming to an end of the interview. Are you ready for those?
Yeah.
Awesome. What's the last book that you read?
The last book that I read would be Persuasion by Dr. Robert Cialdini.
Mm-hmm. Very good. What's the one single thing that your company is focused on the most at the moment?
Understanding the pain points of our customers.
If there would be no boundaries in technology, what would be one thing you want to have fixed for your company today?
Get our message in front of 10 times the amount of people.
Mm-hmm. What's the last thing that kept you awake at night about the company?
Last thing that kept me awake at night, knowing when next year the vaccine will be out to the point where normal or some degree of normal life can resume.
I'm with you on that one. And the very last one is basically, if today would be your very first day working on and with Maverrik, what would be one advice that you would give yourself?
We operate like a family, and this is a tricky one. We operate like a family, and everybody's in it together.
Very cool. I really appreciate that you took the time today with us to be on Pathmark Presents. I want to give you the last word, right? If somebody would be forgetting everything that we just talked about Maverrik, what's one thing that they should remember about the company?
We help customers, we help businesses communicate their value to their prospects in a way that makes them want to buy.
Awesome. Thanks for being part of the show.
Thank you.